and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another sketch box. This is the last one I'll be doing for a while here. So this is the October Sketchbox. I'm finally pretty close to almost caught up on all those. It'll be probably November when I post this, but close enough. So yeah, this is this sketch box, and let's jump right in. Start off with the materials that I used. So first off, the first thing in the box was this Kuretake Zig Sumi ink 60, Sumi ink 60, got that. And it's just like a pot of ink. It's really nice. I really loved it. I did a lot of work with it for my Inktober drawings when I had time to do those. If you want to check out what I'm doing for Inktober, that's over on my Instagram account. But yeah, so I had lots of time to play around with that ink before doing this art piece, and I didn't really use it a lot in this art piece. This is really small, more of just like a sketch sort of thing. But yeah, I really like that ink. It's really, really beautiful. It's, it can be mixed with water. It's got lots of tones. It's kind of interesting. If you put down just like the pure ink and let it dry, it's kind of glossy, so it's not a matte finish, which is interesting. So you gotta keep that in mind, how that's going to react and how it's gonna look with the other like ink that like you might use with this one. So that's good to know, but I didn't think it was a problem. It was just kind of a cool feature. Then the second thing that was in the box was this Dynasty Black and Gold 1/4 inch flat brush. It's a brush. I don't usually use a lot of flat brushes, so that was interesting, and I was able to like incorporate some interesting flat lines and textures specifically with that brush in this piece, which was nice to get to use it in that way. But I was also able to use it, like turn it on the side, and then I could use it for some more detailed lines and get some other shapes in there. So I liked that. It was a pretty nice brush. It was a nice brush. Okay, so the next thing, I'm gonna group them together. There were two COPIC multiliners. One of them was a brush pen, and the other one was a fine liner in Cobalt. So let's talk about the brush pen first. It was a big brush pen, so like it is really, really thick brush, which was kind of weird to work with. It's also a felt brush, and I don't love felt brush pens. They're really hard and they don't work for a long amount of time. They kind of fray at the ends if you use them a lot, which is really inconvenient because then you can't get crisp lines anymore. So brush pens that have actual bristles and are more like a brush, those work a lot better for me. I like those a lot. But the ink was really nice, and so it was good. Had lots of variation. If you changed the pressure you were pushing, you could get it really, really small lines or really thick. So I did like that. So it was an alright brush pen. And the ink was really nice, actually. It was pretty dark, and it was waterproof as well. And then the other Copic multiliner was a fine liner. It was a 0.3 millimeter. I almost said milliliter. Wasn't that? Yeah, so it was a 0.3 millimeter fine liner in the color Cobalt, which was really interesting. I love colored line work, and I love using that. I did talk about that in my last video a little bit, and this pen did that a lot better than the blue pen that I got in the last box. So I really appreciated that, and it was really nice. It was a fine liner. It's got beautiful ink. Again, it's like permanent and it doesn't bleed or anything. And yeah, it's got really nice dark pigment. It's cobalt. So yeah, I feel like that worked really well, and it's fun. It's been fun doing line art with that and stuff. But I didn't use it a lot in this piece. I did for some highlights. I'm not sure how I feel about them exactly. I mean, they're all right, but I'm not sure that they really worked with this piece per se. So yeah, the next thing I got was this Higgins Black Magic, which had a 1mm bullet nib. So it was interesting. It's it's a black magic pen, and the ink is like super black, and it was really nice for covering large areas. It's sort of like a paint marker. It's a pump marker, I guess is what it's called. So like you push the nib into the page and it makes more ink flow out. Yeah, so I didn't really use that all that much for this piece, but it's really nice and it's really, really dark. So that is really nice for covering large areas that like you don't want to use fancy ink for and stuff. So that I did like as well. But the one thing about that is it's got that 1mm nib. So it's really, really bold. You cannot get any sharp lines with that. It's really blunt tip. So yeah, that is one big limitation that I wanted to mention. Okay, so then the next thing was a Montana Sketchliner, and that one was in the size 0.1 millimeters. And yeah, in the color black. So this is nice. It's sort of just, a small black fine liner. I liked it. It was good. It was, it's a small nib. You have to be really careful with them. But I do like little tiny fine liners, so I did use it. I really like how, like, on this piece, I did the character's face. She's like a little wizard. And I did her face with this pen, and it worked really well. I just love how those lines went out, and I kind of went in having no clue. I didn't really sketch out what I was going to do for her face, so I just did it really simple, and I love how that turned out. But yeah, this pen is nice. One of the really important things for me with fine liners is that you can erase over top of them, so like erase the pencil sketch underneath, and the ink shouldn't move. Like sometimes part of the ink comes up and it's erased with the pencil, and it's really important for me that it doesn't do that. And this one was really good, so it didn't really come up all that much. So I really appreciated that. And then the last thing that came in the box was this Strathmore sketch paper pad, 3 inches by 9 inches. So that was very interesting. I didn't know sketchbooks like this existed. I'd never really desired to have anything like that, and it was definitely the most challenging part of this box, was trying to figure out something to incorporate that, super extreme, like, I don't know, it's really long but also really skinny, and it was hard to work with. So that's the reason why this piece is so very simple compared to my other Sketchbox pieces. Was I really had to figure out how I was going to fit anything on this paper, and I don't know that I did that great a job. Even like I had these magical swirls coming out off of her wand, and they don't really seem to have any, really definite flow that I would have liked them to have. If I'd had more space, I definitely would have made sure to include something like that. So yeah, it was a really big challenge, this landscape, this really extreme landscape, which I turned over, so it wasn't actually a landscape anymore. But yeah, it's really interesting to have these sketch boxes because they have some certain determining challenge that makes it difficult. It makes me have to work really hard. But I think this one fell a little short with this really long paper because I really love all the supplies. I didn't feel let down by any of them in this box, except for the paper just didn't seem to work. Like, I didn't really have ideas for it. Like, I don't really think in terms of artwork or just anything in this extreme elongated format, this ultra wide format. That's not really what my brain thinks in, so I don't know, it was really difficult to make that work. So yeah, that was all the materials that I got for this piece. Yeah, it's a really simple drawing for this one, which is kind of fun because I got to keep the video speed really, so I didn't have to speed it up, kept it really low, so you can see a lot more of what I'm doing, I hope. But yeah, it was also really challenging to work with that simple style that I had to do when I would have liked to have done so many more things, and I did manage to do a lot of cool things with these pieces in my Inktober drawings, but yeah, it just didn't really work for me with this sketchbook, so I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's just gonna like sit on my shelf and stare at me. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Yeah, maybe have to get a little bit more creative with my art and think in ultra wide format now. Yeah, so I think that's all I wanted to say for this video for the most part. I really hope you enjoyed coming along with me with these Sketchbox pieces, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So thank you so much for watching, and remember to live life respectfully. Bye!